What's up? This is Pekkanen, and this is going to be my Fallout 4 Glitch Showcase submission for AGDQ 2026. We're playing on one of the later patches of the game. This is essentially equivalent to the latest patch of the game, so everything I'm going to do in this showcase still works on the latest patch. I'm going to be playing on normal difficulty, just so you can see that you can do all this stuff on normal difficulty. So I'm going to be starting this from a save you make right when you gain control of your character in the vault. And so this is basically right after the intro sequence. And the first thing I'm going to show off after I grab this baton is using a cone to clip out of bounds. This allows us to skip part of the vault. The first thing I'm going to show is punch warping. So see how this rad roach is kind of behind this barrier. Well, that means that we can start by executing a punch warp, but then in the middle of that sort of third-person camera, I cancel the punch warp, and now my coordinates are stored. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of the vault. I'm going to grab those rad roach meats for later. But yeah, now my coordinates are stored to where that rad roach was when I killed it. And that means that the next time that I do a VATS attack, it uses those coordinates for the VATS attack, and I basically warp to those coordinates. And because I'm in an interior cell, that means my coordinate is pretty close to the origin, 0, 0. So that means later, if I trigger the punch warp from a Commonwealth by just doing a VATS melee attack, then that'll take me to close to the origin point of the Commonwealth, and that will essentially fast track me to straight where I want to go to continue with showcase. So with this showcase, a lot of the stuff is stuff that you won't usually see during speedruns, because speedruns are played on an earlier patch of the game, and I want to show stuff that you can basically do on your copy of Fallout 4 at home without down patching at all. So some of this stuff will be alternatives to what is done in speedruns. So this is a stat spread I usually like to do in glitch speedruns on later patches. 10 endurance is really important because endurance and agility affect how long you can sprint. Charisma, we're going to need for buying stuff, so let's just go out of the vault. And now, because my coordinates are stored, what I'm going to do is run down to Sanctuary and do a VATS attack on one of these rad roaches, and that will teleport me to my previously stored coordinates, which will be near the center of the map. First, I want to kill this rad roach to get one more rad roach meat, then trigger my punch warp. On later patches, this can be kind of laggy. On the really new patches, you might see multiple minutes of lag. What I want to do here is run to Good Neighbor. So you can see we just essentially teleported to near the center of the map, And Good Neighbor has an item that I really want to buy because it increases your movement speed. and this will be used for a type of armor stacking, but it's not the type of armor stacking you've probably seen in speedruns before. It's a very recently developed one, which I think is a lot cooler. I'm also going to try to kill this dog and loot the dog meat, because that'll come in handy. Ooh, come on. Please don't die. Okay. And I'd also like if this guy has a pipe pistol. Yes, you do. So now that we're in Good Neighbor, I would really like to buy the Destroyer's left leg. This is a piece of armor that gives me plus 10% movement speed. Unfortunately, I don't have nearly enough stuff to sell to buy it, and because we're playing on a later patch, I can't do the vendor glitches, which are used in speedruns to just buy whatever you want for free. So here's what I'm going to do instead. So since I have 3 radroach meat, I've unlocked the recipe for a grilled radroach. Since I have a mongrel dog meat, I've unlocked the recipe for mutton chops. What I'm going to do is position my mouse here, and then as I slide into grilled hermit crab, I'm going to press E at the same time. And now my mouse is selected over the grilled hermit crab option, and it's asking me if I want to make a grilled radroach, so I press accept. And I just cooked the grilled hermit crab recipe, and it didn't consume anything from my inventory, so I can just keep doing this. I actually want to do this 10 or 11 times with 6 charisma. Each recipe actually gives me 2 grilled hermit crabs. Oops.
Sure. Let's take a look.
And I can buy the Destroyer's left leg. Almost need to sell my wedding ring too. But I'm also going to do some more cooking, because there's something else I want to show, and for this I'm gonna need... First I'm gonna need a few rataways, so I'll make a few more grilled hermit crabs so I can buy those rataways from Daisy. And I'm gonna make 2 extra grilled hermit crabs. What else do I want to make? I want to make 2 poached anglers. And what I'm going to do another glitch is to craft the Yao Guai roast. So what I'm going to do here is hover my mouse over mud chops, position my mouse in this sort of sweet spot down here, and this will let me scroll while mud chop stays selected, and then I just do the same thing where I press E as I slide in. This makes a Yao Guai roast. I can also make a seasoned rabbit skewers. I can also make a deathclaw steak. So what I'm going to do right now is turn on survival mode. And this will enable me to exploit survival mode mechanics to permanently increase my stats. So what I'm going to do is basically eat whatever food I want that increases my stats. I can eat Deathclaw steak, I can eat grilled hermit crab, I can eat seasoned rabbit skewers. I can also eat yaguai roast, which is really bugged. It says it does plus 10 melee damage, but it actually does like a 6 times melee damage multiplier. This never got patched out, so I can also eat this. And then you want to use a Radaway and then eat poached angler. And this will basically lock in your special stat increases. And you can do up to 1 of each type of food per Radaway and poached angler, so I can also eat another grilled hermit crab, use a Radaway, and eat poached angler. And now I've increased even more. You can't see it because I'm still on survival, but as soon as I change my game to not survival, yeah, permanently increase my strength, my endurance, my agility, my luck. You can also do this with perception. There's also a food item that increases your perception. You can't do this with charisma or intelligence because there are no food items that increase them. If you want to permanently increase those, you'll have to use the hexstone stacking method that's used in any percent speedruns. But this is a really nice way to permanently increase your special stats. I'm gonna need another pipe pistol, so I'll just grab this one. Do I have enough ammo? Sure, I have enough ammo. So I'm going to fast travel back to Sanctuary now that I've demonstrated how to permanently increase your special stats. And now that I've got the Destroyer's left leg. And I'm gonna go down and get dog meat. Because dog meat is very useful for duplication. And we're going to duplicate a lot of these Destroyer's left legs to demonstrate this stacking method.
You're all by yourself.
So I'm going to go into the workbench. I'm going to build 2 things for scrap for some steel and rubber. I'm going to build any type of container right next to the workbench. I actually don't have to do this since I have dog meat. I just realized what I'm actually going to do is just build 1 item, which is the conveyor storage. And this will be useful for duplicating the Destroyer's left leg. But before I do this, I'm going to replace the custom fitted mod with the pocketed mod using the same menu glitch we just demonstrated. So I'm going to drop the Destroyer's left leg, equip my pipe pistol, make sure dog meat is pretty far away from the armor piece. Tell him to get the armor piece. Then I like to shoot it into the conveyor storage. And now he just dropped a copy, and there's a copy in the conveyor storage. So now it's duplicated. And we can just keep doing this until we have 6.
Head over there. Pick that up.
So we want to keep doing this until we have 6 Destroyer's left legs.
Take that.
Make sure to shoot it into the container storage after you finish speaking your line where you say take that or pick that up.
Fetch it.
Okay, that was too quick. I need dog meat to stay away from the store.
Go get it.
Okay, so now that we have 6, I'm going to drop them all and pick them back up again, and then when I drop them again, it'll be a stack of 6. So I'm going to try duplicating this stack.
Bring that here, boy.
Dog meat, what are you doing? Okay, let's try this again.
Hey. Fetch it.
Okay, so it only gave me 1 duplicate, but what I can do is take these 6 destroyers left legs, then drop it, and now there's 6 of each apparently. No, there's only 1 extra. Okay, so now I only made 7, but that's okay, because what I'm gonna do is drop this stack of 7.
There. Bring it here, pal. Go get it.
Duplicate it again. Drop this stack of 7. So there's 7 here, and there's actually 1 here, even though it says 7. But what I can do is quick save, grab both of these, quick load, and now there's actually 7 in both of these stacks. See, now I have 14. So we just doubled the stack. And I'm gonna do this 2 more times, double the stack 2 more times.
Grab that. Get that.
Dog meat, where are you? There you are.
Head over there. Grab that. Over here.
And I think I'm gonna have to do it 1 more time.
Hey. Head over there. Grab that.
Okay, so now I have 112 of these. So what I'm gonna do is equip the stack, and I'm gonna tell Dogmeat to come over here by the armor workbench. Come here, buddy. Now I'm gonna I'm gonna give the trade option with Dogmeat, and then I'm gonna turn to the armor workbench and use that immediately. So press trade, use the armor workbench. And now these workbenches have overlapped. So hover over both of these options, make sure this option is selected and this option is selected. Press T, T, enter, T, enter. T, T, enter, T, enter. And you might notice that in the My Apparel option and the My Apparel box, each time I do this, my carry weight is decreasing by 5. That's because each time I do this, I'm unequipping the Destroyer's left leg, and the Destroyer's left leg has the pocketed mod, which increases my carry weight by 5. So each time I do this, I'm decreasing my carry weight by 5, and what's going to happen is it'll eventually become negative. And because the Destroyer's left leg has the 10% movement speed increase, it's also decreasing my speed by 10%, and my speed is also going to become negative. So the question now is, what happens when these two things become negative? Well, first we'll see what happens to the pocketed mod, to the carry weight when it becomes negative. And we get an integer overflow. We now have about 4 billion carry weight. So I'm gonna just keep doing this until... Okay, yeah, I can't hear anymore. drop these. Let's do this again. Okay, that should be good. So what happened now is we decreased our movement speed by 10% about 90 times. So in theory, our movement speed should be about negative 800%. And as far as the game's concerned, that's the same as positive 800%. So we now have 8 times movement speed. And this is basically an alternative to the armor stacking method that's used in any percent, but I think is a lot nicer because it doesn't require using the Pip-Boy app. It is eventually a lot faster, although it does take some setup. It doesn't require wading through like 100 loading screens, and it also leaves you with a whole bunch of legendary items that you can then sell to vendors. So we're going to do that later, but for the next glitch, I'm going to grab a couple different items to get ready for it. These items can all be found right around Diamond City. I'm going to grab a missile launcher, I'm going to grab a submachine gun, and I'm going to grab a laser pistol. There's going to be a submachine gun right in here. There's going to be a missile launcher right over here. And I can loot security laser pistol from this gunner over here, who I can one-shot thanks to eating the Yaogwai roast, which gives me like a 6 times damage multiplier, and because I did the survival mode thing, that damage multiplier is permanently locked in. So now I've got a laser pistol, I'm gonna just run into the neighbor. Now, am I all set up for this? Okay. So I want to make sure this is, no, I want to make sure this is favorited, and I want to make sure this is favorited. This is going to be the forced mod attach glitch. Let me wait until I'm out of combat. Dude, come on. Okay, there we go. So, I'm gonna do that same menu glitch to... So the first thing I want to do is I want to do the menu glitch to craft a targeting computer, but I can't do that right now because I don't have any base option that I can select. So what I'm going to do is buy 1 adhesive and 2 steel, which are the materials required to craft the standard missile launcher option. Where's adhesive? Here you are. So I'm gonna go to the missile launcher, so we now have the option to craft standard sights. So what I'm gonna start doing is holding tab, and as I hold tab, I'm gonna slide my mouse down. And see, now it thinks the menu thinks I have a night vision scope, so now I have the option to select standard sights. So since I have that option, I'm going to slide in here and craft a targeting computer. So now I can reselect standard sights, and now I have a targeting computer crafted. So that option is always available. I'm going to also do the same thing with a laser pistol. No muzzle is selected, so press tab and slide down. And I want to craft a beam splitter. So now beam splitter is crafted, go back to no muzzle. So, what I want to do is attach this targeting computer and this beam splitter to my submachine gun. So how am I going to do that? First, let's start with the beam splitter, because these are mods that are not supposed to go on a submachine gun. So we're going to see what happens when they go on a submachine gun. So we want these to be right next to each other in the inventory, and they need to be at certain slots in the menu. I'm going to name this to 1. Actually, I'm going to name this to space 1, just to make sure these are at adjacent indices in the inventory. Rename this to space 2, rename this to space 3. I think I'm going to have to scrap this. So hover over this, press E and R at the same time. Now my submachine gun has a beam splitter on that. I didn't explain that super well, so I'm going to explain it better once I attach the targeting computer to it. But first, let's just see what happens now that there's just a beam splitter on my submachine gun. Well, I don't have any .45 ammo, so I'm just going to have to buy some from Clio.
I'll take a look.
This is why it's nice to have all these extra destroyers left legs, because now you can just sell them to buy stuff. So because there's a beam splitter on my submachine gun, now it shoots a bunch of laser beams. But we don't want it to shoot a bunch of laser beams, we want it to shoot a bunch of targeting missiles. So that's why we're going to force attach the targeting computer onto this. So, this can be a bit tricky. I'm going to name this to space 2. I want to hover my cursor over this heart. I'm going to make a quick save first, just in case this fails. Hover my cursor over this heart, which is why I favorited it. Press E and R at the same time. I need it to be on the heart. And now I am in the mod slots menu and the scrap item option came up. So I'm going to press E, and now I can press E again and replace this standard barrel with a targeting computer. Now what I can do, each shot of my submachine gun shoots 5 targeting missiles. And the targeting actually works. I can actually target people and it'll shoot them. So you can just go wild with this thing. Now, the last thing I'm going to do will require some power armor, so I'm going to go get some power armor. There are a bunch of places where you can just find power armor in this game. My favorite place is just the Atom Cat's garage, because you can also get a bobblehead there. It's nice. And you get the T60 power armor. You get the Atom Cat's T60 power armor, which is the best piece of power armor you can get in the early game. And you can also get 2 fusion cores, so I'm gonna just mark it on my map and head over there. And sometimes they'll just let you take this power armor for free. Sometimes they'll aggro if you take it, so I just hope they let me take it. Oh yeah, sometimes it just doesn't spawn in, so I'm gonna quit to the main menu and hopefully this will make it spawn in. Yeah. Okay, we're cool. There's a fusion core here you can take so that you have an extra. And one last time, I'm gonna do the same thing I did, but this time I'm gonna do it to craft a jetpack. So hold tab on no misc mod, start sliding down, kinetic dynamo is selected, press E. Hover over no misc mod, go to this sweet spot from before, start scrolling down, press E and slide up at the same time. And now we've got a jetpack. I think this guy might actually aggro now that I've entered this armor for the second time. Yeah, okay. That's okay, because we can fly and move at hyperspeed. So now that we've escaped, I can show off some of the stuff you can do with jetpack power armor. Like, we can just fly from here all the way on top of the Museum of Freedom. Grab the minigun, even though we don't need it, we already have a way more powerful weapon. Can even fly all the way. We're gonna have to. Oh, not quite. Yeah, so when you're moving at V speeds and have a jetpack, it really opens up the world quite a bit. Fly up here. This is where we can repair bobblehead. You can also go over here and get another bobblehead. This is going to be one of the hardest bobbleheads to find, but you'll see how with hyperspeed movement and the jetpack, it becomes so much easier. Whee! Okay, that water was kind of shallow. Vault 75. Usually one of the hardest bobbleheads to get in the game. but we can use our power armor to clip out of bounds, and then use our jetpack to just fly out of bounds to the bobblehead. So we want to go in third person, hold E to exit our power armor, then quickly flick the mouse left, and press E again. And now we've clipped out of bounds, so now we can just fly out of bounds to the bobblehead, which is right here. Yeah, and that's the end of the showcase. So we covered a lot of the tech that you may not usually see in speedruns, because speedruns usually use faster versions of it, which are exclusive to older patches, but this is how you can do a lot of the stuff that you see in speedruns on the latest patch. So I hope you enjoy.